Hello friends, so today we are going to talk about naming type 2 binary ionic compounds. Okay, so for us to name type 2 binary ionic compounds, we have to use this particular format or form given to us. Okay, the first thing is to find the name of the metal or the cation. Then you find the charge of that metal or that cation, and when you have successfully found the charge, you place it in Roman numeral and cover it up with parentheses or bracket. Okay, after that you find the base name of the non-metal or the anion. Okay, you remove the last syllable of the base name or the last syllable of the name of the non-metal and replace it with IED, as we have done when we were naming type 1 binary ionic compounds. Okay, recall that in the type 2 binary ionic compounds, the metal that are of concern here are what we call transition metals, and these are metals that show variable oxidation states. So for us to actually find the charge of the oxidation state of the particular transition metal in question in a given compound of interest, we must pay attention to finding the sum of the charges on the anion. Remember, for a neutral compound or a neutral molecule, we're expecting the cation charge and the anionic charges to cancel out. So we're expecting to have a neutral molecule or compound having the total charge of 0. So for us to determine the exact charge of a particular transition metal in a given compound, we must find the sum of the charges of the anion, because that invariably will give us insight into the charge of the metal or the cation. It is very critical, because once we know this particular charge of the cation, we can be able to place it in the Roman numeral, place it in parentheses, after naming, of course, the metal or the cation, place the charge in parentheses to identify the oxidation state of that particular transition metal. Then we now name the non-metal, and of course replacing the last syllable of the name of that non-metal with IED. It is that simple. Alright, so for the first example we're going to use to further explain this particular process of naming type 2 binary ionic compound is FeCl3. Okay, FeCl3. Pay attention to the fact that this particular 3 here, which happens to be the atomicity of chlorine, is actually, if you recall when we learned how to draw the formula of ionic compounds, you recall that this particular atomicity of 3 for chlorine is actually the charge or the charge magnitude of ion. Alright, recall that ion shows 3+ charge in some of its oxidation states. It also shows 2+ charge in some of its compound. Okay, but here, since you have seen Cl3 having 3 subscript, it means that that 3 is actually the charge of the ion. It's that simple. So had it been we have FeCl2, it means that the 2 here would have been the magnitude of the charge of the ion. So since we are seeing, because in naming or forming the molecular formula of ionic compound, we exchange the magnitude of their charges using it to form what we call the subscript of the other ion, okay, or the other element in that particular compound. So here we have Fe3+, and here we have Cl1-. Chlorine will always form minus charge, okay, as you can see, -1 charge. All right, so when you bring down the magnitude of the charge of the ion, which is 3, down, and bring down the magnitude of the charge of the anion, which is 1, down, you use the crisscross method. Remember I taught you that, okay, in the previous last 2 videos before this one. Okay, when you do that, you use the crisscross method, you discover that this 1 goes into Fe, giving us Fe, because anything times 1 is itself, while this 3 goes into Cl, giving us Cl3. That means that the charge on this particular ion is actually the subscript on the anion. All right. So the charge on the anion is the subscript on the ion. So the subscript on the ion here is 1. It's not written because anything times 1 is 1. So that means that the charge of ion in this compound is 3. Pay attention to that. Okay. Recall that if 1 goes into 3, you have 3 plus, and if 3 goes into 1 minus, you have what? 3 minus. So 3 plus and 3 minus is equal to 0. That gives us the overall charge of the neutral compound, since the charge of the cation and the anion must cancel out. So that is how you can make inference of the charge of the ion by paying attention to the sum of the charges of the anion, or just the subscript of the non-metal, to which the transition metal in the type 2 binary ionic compounds are formed. This is beautiful. So since we have done that, you can agree with me now that following this pattern, the name of the metal or the cation is ion. Okay? And the charge on ion, as you can see, is 3. So you place that 3 in Roman numerals III, and place it in parentheses, a small bracket, and of course name the non-metal, which is chlorine. Remove the last syllable, which is INE, and replace it with IED. You now have chloride. So you have ion 3 chloride. That means if we had 2 here, okay, it will now become ion 2 chloride. Pay attention to that. So the second example they gave us, they say name the compound with formula of CRO. Name the formula of the compound with CRO. For us to know, chromium shows variable oxidation states, okay? So we have to know the charge on chromium. It's very important because chromium can show the plus 2 charge, and sometimes it can show the plus 4 charge, okay? So we need to know whether it's plus 2 or plus 4, as the case may be. So for us to do that, we pay attention to the charge that oxygen will form. Oxygen will always form 2 minus charge. It's that simple. So remember to always imitate your teacher. So what we're going to do is that we say chromium, okay, here. And of course we have oxygen here. Oxygen will always give 2 minus charge. Therefore, if both of them are in the ratio of 1:1, it means the charge is cancelled out. That means the chromium should be having oxidation state of what? 2 plus charge. All right? So if you bring down the magnitude of this charge, okay, you have 2. You bring down the magnitude of this particular charge, you have 2. You use the crisscross method again. Ultimately, you are going to have what you have is Cr2 and O2. This is what you have. But because these 2 units are the same, you cancel out, or you divide both of them by each other. They make 1:1 ratio. Okay, because you must have to reduce the subscript to the lowest, okay, whole number. Had it been we had 2 and 3 here, we cannot reduce. But because the numbers, the subscripts are the same, you have to reduce it to the barest number. And when you do that, say this cancel this, you are going to have CRO, which is this, okay? So, but because this is CRO, doesn't mean that the charge on the chromium is 1. No, the charge on the chromium, as you can see, is 2 plus. Because that charge is what you use in naming this particular compound, okay? Pay attention to all of this. So, to name this CRO now, you now say the name of the metal or the cation, you say chromium. We're opening a parenthesis. What is the charge on chromium? It's 2. All right? It's 2. Even though it is CRO in the ratio of 1:1 when you have reduced it. But no, the charge is still what? 2. Okay? It's 2 plus. That is why oxygen is 2 minus, and both of them will cancel out. Remember that the both charges must cancel out since we have a neutral compound. Okay? So you have that in Cr, you have, all right, 2, okay? Pay attention to this. 2 goes into 2 plus, and we have 4 plus here, okay? For oxygen, you have what? 2 goes into 2 minus, okay? And we have 4 minus. So 4 plus and 4 minus is equal to 0. So that is why we have CrO in the ratio of 1:1. Beautiful. So chromium is the name of the metal or the cation. So what is the charge on chromium here? What is the oxidation state? I2. Okay. Then what is this is oxide. Okay. Oxide. Okay. So pay attention to this. This is chromium 2 oxide. Very, very fantastic. So give the name of the compound PbCl4. It's very simple. Just know that the subscript of the non-metal is the charge of the metal. It's that simple. To cut the long story short, all right, that is the charge. Okay. So again, if you want to do what I have always done, you know that Pb here and Cl minus. Okay. This is what you have. Of course, I've just told you that this is 4. Okay. Okay, and this is what? 1. When you cross and multiply, okay, you're going to have that. Again, back to it. Pb is 1, as you can see, and Cl is 4. So this confirms that this is this. That means that the charge here is 4 plus, and the charge here is what? 1 minus. That is what it means. So I've told you, once you look at it, the charge on the subscript of the anion is actually the charge of the what? Of the transition metal. It's that simple. So to name this, it becomes lead, the name of the metal or the cation. You put in Roman numeral the charge. Okay, the charge is 4 plus, as you can see. So it becomes IV, lead 4. Okay, chlorine, remove INE, replace it with IED, it becomes lead 4 chloride. Lead 4 chloride. Remember, this is because all the charges must cancel each other out. Okay, if you check again, you discover that for lead, 1 goes into 4 plus, 1 goes into 4 plus, and you get what? 4 plus. And for chlorine, 4 goes into what? 1 minus, and you get 4 minus, which is equal to 0. Because it's a neutral compound, okay, the charges must cancel out. So this shows that what we have here is lead 4 chloride. It's that simple. And again, the last example, example 4, say give the name for the compound PbO. All right, it's simple. Here, you know that oxygen will always have the what? 2 minus charge. So invariably, the charge of lead is 2. If it's 2 minus for oxygen, that means it's 2 plus for lead. That means what we have here is lead 2 oxide. Again, to prove it, you tell yourself we are looking for that of lead, but already we know oxygen must be 2 minus. Okay, so definitely what we have here is 2 plus. For them to cancel out, and we have the ratio of 1:1 eventually. Okay, so if you bring down the magnitude of this charge, which is 2, and bring down the magnitude of this charge again, which is 2, you use the crisscross method just to help you make sure that you're on the same page. You're going to have Pb2O2. Because these two values are equal, this goes into this, and you have just 1. Okay, you have Pb and O. Okay, Pb and O, which is this. All right, so you can agree with me that even though what we have is Pb and O, but in naming it, it's gonna be lead. The charge of the lead is what? 2. You can see it. The charge of the lead is 2. So it's IR, and this is oxygen, which will make an anion known as oxide. So what you have here again is lead 2 oxide. It is that simple. So again, to check, to see that we entirely have a neutral molecule, you ask yourself, lead is equal to what? 2. We go into 2 plus, okay, which will give us 4 plus. And for oxygen, okay, you have that 2. Again, we go into what? 2 minus, and you have 4 minus. Ultimately, you have a neutral molecule or a neutral compound that is equal to 0. So, friends, this is actually how to name type 2 binary ionic compounds. So for the first one, we were able to name FeCl3. We named it what? Iron 3 chloride. For the second example, we named CrO to be chromium 2 oxide. For the third example, we named PbCl4 to be lead 4 chloride. Okay? And the last one but not the least, PbO, we named it to be lead 2 oxide. Following the format that says that we should name the name of the metal first, determine the charge of the metal, the transition metal, from the sum of the charges of the anion. Place that particular charge in Roman numeral, cover it up in parentheses, and of course, give the name of the non-metal, remove the last syllable of that non-metal, replace it with IED. And that is how we got lead 2 oxide. And of course, the charge, the total sum of the charges on a neutral molecule or neutral compound must always be equal to 0. I don't know if you learned anything. If you learned anything and this is now helping you to make your chemistry even better, please, I implore you to invite your friends to be part of what we are doing with Chem Class with Dr. Luther. And kindly like, comment, and share this video so that you can get to those students that need some of the information we are dishing out to you. Again, I charge you, if you have any student that is struggling with basic and foundational aspects of chemistry, invite them to be part of what we are doing with Chem Class with Dr. Luther. And again, share this particular video, especially this video series on chemical bonding. As you can see, we didn't just introduce the concept of chemical bonding. We are breaking it down into every aspect of the ionic compound that are made from chemical bonding. And we'll continue to do this even until we get into the energetics of ionic compound. Then we conclude everything about ionic compound by establishing and understanding the variable, interesting properties of this special kind of compound known as ionic compound. After which we can now venture into covalent bonding, which is the second type of chemical bonding that we have lined out. We've lined out for your delight, for your assimilation, for your understanding, and ultimately to help make your chemistry stronger and even better. Chemistry is such an interesting topic. It doesn't have to be boring. You don't have to be disenchanted. Invite your friends, your loved ones, and well-wishers to be part of what we are doing here on Chem Class with Dr. Luther. Until the next time, I remain your humble friend, Dr. Luther Nokwasili. Stay safe, stay away from trouble, and keep enjoying chemistry. Bye.